Welcome to Buffalo Rumblings Live. My name is Matt Warren. Tonight, I am joined by Scott Salmon from Gangrene Nation. Say hi, Scott.
Hi there.
Scott Salmon.
Salmon. Yeah.
Salmon.
Heavy pronunciation on the L.
Yes. And the first time that the Jets and the Bills played, we weren't able to have Scott on the show. That was during our hiatus when my son was born. And Scott took to Twitter to publicly mock my son for being the littlest Buffalo Bills fan. So he heard an earful from a lot of Buffalo Bills fans, which I appreciated at the time. But Scott, I guess the only thing I have to say to that is scoreboard, right?
Okay, listen, it's a good thing you didn't have this last time, because if you were, my prediction for the last game was that the Jets were going to roll the Bills. I thought it was lined up perfectly for the Jets, and I don't think I've ever been that wrong as I was in that game. So it's a good thing you didn't have it.
Well, you definitely were wrong. The Bills forced 6 turnovers, 3 from each of the New York Jets' wonderful quarterbacks. That was really nice of those guys. What happened in that game?
You know, it was just a perfect storm of events, as it happened actually a couple times this season with at least while Geno Smith was quarterback in the team. The team sort of just lost its mojo. They didn't really know what was going on. I don't think they were. I think they probably went in a little too confident, similar as I was. I mean, the Jets have, the past few years, they've done very well against Buffalo. And then the Bills, especially at the beginning of Kyle Orton's, the switch to Kyle Orton, they just looked absolutely phenomenal. And they just, I think, took it, maybe not Buffalo by surprise, but I think they took the rest of the country by surprise, and certainly the Jets. And I think as soon as it started off poorly for the Jets didn't know what happened to them. They didn't know who they were. They didn't know who they were going against. This wasn't the Buffalo of old that they used to beat up on. So this is, I think, it sort of just spiraled out of control very quickly as soon as they realized this is not the usual Buffalo team.
Yeah, and before they even realized that the game was getting out of hand very, very quickly. It was 14-0 before the Jets scored, and then the Bills scored another 10 points to make it 24-7. And then, even though the Jets were able to bring it back to 24-17, in a lot of ways it never even felt like they got back into the game. And I'm looking at the score probability on Pro Football Reference right now, and it did in the third quarter. It got back up to like 65-35, which was the closest it had been since really, really early in the first quarter, 4 minutes into the first quarter. That was probably one of the Geno Smith fumbles or interceptions or something like that.
One of many.
Yeah, so I mean, it never really felt like the Bills were going to give the game away, even though as a Bills fan you knew that they certainly could give the game away.
As a Jets fan, I know that feeling.
So, well, yeah, the last time the Bills won in New York against the Jets was a game that pretty much had that. It was a Sanchez and a kicker threw an interception too, or something like that. I can't remember. That was the last time before this one.
Was that the 16-13 game?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Oh my God, when Mark Sanchez threw 5 interceptions his rookie year, that was brutal. And I think the Jets had over 200 yards rushing that game, but because Sanchez threw the 5 interceptions, that was a bad game. So what's happened
to the Jets since they lost to the Bills? They're 2-8. I know that they had their bye week last week because the Bills, coming off their mini bye, playing Thursday Night Football last week, didn't even get extra time to prepare for the Jets because the NFL schedule makers hate them. But what's going on with the Jets since the Bills put the 43-23 shellacking on them?
They've looked a little bit better. Obviously, they won in their last game against the Steelers. They looked tremendously better in that one. The past 2 games, Michael Vick hasn't thrown an interception. He hasn't had a fumble. So obviously, when you guys played him last time, he had 3 interceptions and I think another fumble, if I remember correctly. He hasn't had any turnovers the last 2 games, so it's obviously he's looked a lot better since he started off. He had quite a rough start against you guys. But so the Jets have I think looked a lot better in terms of not making as many mistakes as they normally do. They know in the beginning of the season they were especially just shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again. And that seems to have gone a little better. On offense, they were able to the defense was finally able to generate some turnovers. All of that, I think, is probably more of an anomaly this season. They had three turnovers the first 9 games, and then the 10th game they managed to get 4. So it was just a dramatic change of events with the Jets. And I would guess that was more an anomaly than the way it's going to be in the future. But they definitely looked at least a little bit better the past 2 weeks than they did against you guys.
Yeah, I don't know what the odds makers were saying about the Jets versus Steelers, but I know a lot of people were picking the Steelers in their suicide pools and failed miserably in doing so. Sergeant Major Thorough, one of our commenters, asked, now that Vic has been starting for a few weeks and Percy Harvin's been there for a few as well, how do you see the Jets attacking the Bills' defense? Are they going to be rolling Mike Vick out? What's the plan?
Well, I think it depends on what happens with the snow. I mean, if the conditions are extremely bad, I think we're probably going to see sort of a defensive running game battle with a big defensive struggle, and like a 6-3 score wouldn't surprise me if the weather's really bad. Alternatively, I think the key is for the Jets is going to be to run the ball in some fashion. I don't think it's going to necessarily be the traditional manner. I see they've been running the ball more with Vic. They've been using Percy Harvin more as a running back, or significantly as a running back. So I don't know that's going to be a traditional running game, but I think we are going to see a lot more running, which obviously is something that's going to play a lot into the Bills' hands. And you guys have I believe you have the number 1 rush defense in the league right now.
I don't know if it's number 1. I know they've been doing
It's
much
close,
better.
Yeah.
I can grab it here in a second. But
that's why I think it's going to be an interesting game, because I think you guys are at the top. The Jets, at last I checked, I think the Jets were number 4, number 5 in rush defense, and number 4 or 5 in rush offense. So that's why I think it's going to be an interesting, depending on the weather, I think it's going to be an interesting running battle.
I have them at 9.
The Bills at 9 or the Jets?
The Bills.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So,
Still, they're still a good run defense team. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been a lot better, and but they've certainly given up a lot of rushing yards. And it started against the Jets when they were up in the top 3, and then against the Jets they started giving up some runs and some big chunks. They're 6th against in yards, which is nice to see. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the Bills 2014. Yep. Okay. Good. Just I'm losing my mind. So if it does turn into a running game, I'm a little bit worried about that, because the Bills only managed 67 rushing yards against the Jets the first time around, and that was with a huge lead. They didn't want to put the ball in the hands of Bryce Brown a lot because they were worried he was going to fumble, and then he had a really key fumble, of course, the next time they were out against the Kansas City Chiefs. But then he kind of got into a groove a little bit against the Chiefs and outside of that run. Do you think Fred Jackson coming back and Bryce Brown and Anthony Dixon, do you see them getting a little bit more creative against the Jets front the second time around?
Sure, I think if Bryce Brown is getting into a groove, I think that's only going to cause obviously more problems for the Jets. Bryce Brown has always been, at least in my view, he was a guy I wanted the Jets to get because he was a home run threat. He's just a guy that can create these plays, and especially with Fred Jackson coming back, you can't really just focus your energy on him enforcing that fumble as he's prone to do, just because you alternatively have Jackson back there. So I don't think you can key on him the same way that you would. The Jets obviously have, like I've said, they just have one of the best run defenses in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see how they match up. But both Brown and Jackson have this speed that has haunted the Jets in the past.
Mm-hmm. Right. Let's talk about the snow for a minute, and I'm going to try something here for a second, guys. So bear with me as we try this to hang out with this. Let's see here. I'm going to try and show you guys a picture. All right, here we go. Can you see that, Scott?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so this is what Ralph Wilson Stadium looks like right now. This is a tweet from Derek G. Photo that the Buffalo News tweeted out. Here's one from the actual Bills that was in Ralph Wilson Stadium today. There's like a lot of snow in Ralph Wilson Stadium. Orchard Park, where Ralph Wilson Stadium is housed, got 4 feet of snow overnight last night. We're recording this on Wednesday night, so it was Tuesday night where they got a whole bunch of snow. And then now starting tonight and into the day on Friday, they're primed to get another 2 to 3 feet of accumulation as well in that lovely little wait, I'm still here, right? I'm just checking.
You're here.
Okay. We're trying crazy stuff tonight. All right. They're worried that they're not going to be able to get the snow out. And so the game could be played anytime between Sunday at 1 o'clock and, say, Tuesday night. If they move the time of the game, not the location, the time, which team do you think it'll benefit more? The Jets coming off a full bye or the Bills coming off their mini bye?
I would say the Bills. Not even just because of the bye situation. I think just because the Bills missed the day of practice today. Maybe not Sunday as much, but if it moves to Monday or Tuesday, I think that actually getting back the extra day of practice is only going to help rather than, obviously disadvantage you guys from losing that day of practice.
Yeah, the Bills coaches apparently were in their offices at One Bills Drive filming the game plan that they would normally be presenting in team meetings and sending it out to their players via the tablets or iPads or whatever they're using. So it's a very interesting day. Jim Schwartz and Doug Marone got stuck on the Interstate 90, the thruway in colloquial terms, up here, and they got stuck and had to get pulled off by the police department, because they were driving during a travel ban. And so they eventually did get into work, and now they're going to be camping out at One Bills Drive for the next, few nights, I guess. It's going to be fun to be at that stadium.
It's interesting. It's interesting because I know Quentin Coples from the Jets earlier was saying how for the Jets, Wednesday is the main day of their installing the game plan for the next week. And he was saying that some teams do Wednesday, some teams do Thursday. I'm not sure what exactly the Bills do. It sounds like they do more Thursday. But for the Jets, if they were to lose a Wednesday, it would just be devastating to them because it would throw off their entire schedule because their schedule is based around Wednesday. So I obviously don't know what exactly is happening with Bills, but for the Jets at least, if this were to happen in reverse, it'd be bad news.
And we don't have to worry about the Jets making it into Buffalo because for as much snow as Orchard Park and some of the other southern suburbs got, the city of Buffalo Airport got 4 inches of snow. So
the whole thing's crazy.
Yeah, so 4 feet of snow in Orchard Park, 4 inches of snow at the airport. It's kind of weird like that sometimes with the lake effect stuff. All right, so Sergeant Major Thor, another question. Which running back for the Jets do you want to see take over the game?
Chris Ivory. I think at this point he's a significantly better running back than Chris Johnson. He's been improving his hands significantly. He's already well more than doubled his career receptions this season alone. But more importantly, he's just put your head down and run the ball in the trenches kind of running back, which especially with the snow is going to be a lot more helpful than Chris Johnson, who's better suited for the passing game, which may as well be non-existent for this coming week. I think he'd probably be better for the Jets and more likely to happen as well.
It's interesting that you keep talking about guys running in the snow because they're probably going to have the snow cleared off the field by the time the game starts. And then the forecast for Sunday and Monday is like 45 degrees and rainy.
Is it really?
And so it's just going to be a slop. It has the potential to be a very sloppy kind of affair, just mainly because of the water. Yeah. Not to mention all of the snow melting and having more water. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the field conditions might play into it. Just one note: there's not really a good place for the Bills to have this game elsewhere. When the Minnesota Vikings stadium ceiling crashed in, they went over to the University of Minnesota and were fine. The University of Buffalo's stadium really isn't large enough to hold the Bills. There's no place in Rochester, New York, about an hour away, hour and a half away to do it. The closest stadium in New York State that's big enough would be the Carrier Dome, and the Carrier Dome's hosting a huge hockey tournament on Saturday, and then they have to play basketball there on Monday. So would they really want to go from hockey to football to basketball? in
One
consecutive days.
interesting idea that one of our editors, John Butchko, had was actually using Yankee Stadium.
And then this jerk guy named Scott Salmon said that they should move it to MetLife Stadium and play where the Giants play.
Look, I'm just saying it's a neutral field. It's the Giants
Oh,
Stadium.
it's a neutral field.
To be fair, the Jets fans hate the Jets so much right now. It's like having double the fan base there. So for you guys, so.
Yeah, well, I guess so. But I couldn't imagine going to New Jersey to play a Buffalo Bills game. I don't know.
It happened before. John was mentioned this to me earlier. I think it was the Saints had a similar game, and they painted.
Oh.
Yeah, they painted it. They painted the stadium, their visiting stadium, to look like their home stadium. It was a weird thing. But
was this after Katrina when they went up and played the Giants? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's not unprecedented to move games. There was a blizzard in Philadelphia in 2010, I think. Yeah. I was in Philadelphia. That
was the Joe Webb game.
Yeah, I was in Philadelphia for that too. But they postponed it to a Tuesday night, which I really don't want them to do a Tuesday night because then the Bills will be another short week to get ready for the Cleveland Browns. But the Houston Texans have had a game postponed because of a hurricane from a Sunday to a Monday, things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, especially the travel ban in Orchard Park still has not been lifted. I don't know if it's even going to be lifted tomorrow when the Bills would need to come into work. They should be able to make it into work tomorrow, even if the travel ban is in place, whether or not
you guys don't believe in laws.
Well, yeah.
No, well, I'd be surprised if they don't push it back at least till Monday, just to give you guys the extra practice day, because otherwise it's just unfair that you guys should lose a day.
Well, right. And I know that they keep saying that the latest that they would do this, by the way, is Friday, at least according to multiple reports, and it would still be on TV in all of the markets that would get it now. Even if it's on Monday night, it wouldn't be a nationally televised Monday night football game. Yeah. It would just be in the markets that it's in. Well, Scott, is there anything else you want to tell us about the Jets to get us ready for this game on Sunday?
Well, a lot of Jets fans are hoping that the Jets lose, and we're hoping that they would just use this opportunity to force.
I do too.
Yeah.
Don't even come. Don't
even bother.
No.
So you're going to have a lot of people cheering for the Bills this week, including a lot of Jets fans. The only people that might be cheering for the Jets are my Dolphins fans, so it's going to be an interesting week.
You guys cheering for Jameis Winston?
A lot of people are. I'm not as convinced as some other people are, but there are a lot of people that want to stink for Winston.
I would love to see that quarterback depth chart with like Mike Vick, Jameis Winston, and then Geno Smith. It would just, I would love to see it. It would just make me happy. It would be so New York Jets. It would be classic New York Jets.
Chaos. And bring in Tim Tebow just to mix it up a little bit.
They would need a spiritual leader.
Well, you got really someone that's going to bring the team together.
You need someone to help all three of those guys walk the straight and narrow.
Just someone to remind them not to steal crab legs from around here.
I guess. I mean, Manhattan clam chowder or something like that. I don't know. How do you? It would be harder to steal clam chowder, I would think.
Would you put it in your pockets?
I guess. I mean, those carry-out tubs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, in any event, so it appears everyone's rooting for the Bills this week. NBC News was in Buffalo today to report on the snow, and everyone's pulling for Buffalo. So I think we should end with a go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo.
You're asking for a lot here.
Come on, Scott.
All right, I'll give you part of the way. Okay, you can count off.
Okay. Wait, are we going to go 1, 2, 3, then let's go Buffalo? Okay. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Let's go Buffalo.
Not Jets.
Okay, there we go. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys.